Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and we're back on the Big Bear again, and we're doing some changing. uh, I'm taking the foot pedal off of this simply because the work that I have to do to make that switch work or that master cylinder work is more than I want to do. I've already done it once. I don't want to do it again. But I have found that the pedal on it is lower than the footrest. So when you go to push on it, your foot has to be really cocked down and it did cause me a Charlie horse in my damn leg because I had to push so far down and have my foot down straight. So when I welded the hand or the lever on it, I misjudged it. So I should have made it adjustable, and I was going to do that, but I didn't because I wasn't sure if it was going to land in the right spot. Come find out, it's not. It still works. It's just you got to push so far down. So I went online and found a matching set of master cylinders for left and right. I sure wish they would have been black, but I'm not going to paint chrome because later it'll start chipping off and look worse than it does if it was all chrome. So we're just going to leave them chrome. But it's a matching left and right master cylinder. But the problem that we have with it is the switch. On the Big Bear, and I cut this one off. I've already done this one. We're going to show you what we're doing. Here's the difference in the switches. This one just slides into a hole in the master cylinder and clips into place, and then when it's in the held in position full time. So when you push or pull the handle, it lets that out and turns your brake light on, and then when you let off the handle, it pushes it back, and that's how that one works. Well, this one works exactly the same way. The only difference is it's this kind of switch with two plugs on it. And I wanted to use some spade connectors on it, but the way I ended up doing it was better. So to speak. So what I'm doing is I'm converting this switch to fit with the Big Bear. Now what I've done with this one was I cut this switch off of the end of the wire. It wasn't no good anyway. Every time you pulled your lever and push it and let off of it, it would push that out because it wasn't latching. So these things are about wore out and it wouldn't latch. So I just cut that end off of the wire, and then these have a hole in each one of those spades. So what I did was stripped the wire and took some heat shrink, put on the wire first, put them in here, soldered them, one to one and one to the other, don't matter which one. They're both black. Of course, the rear is a little different. It's got a yellow and a brown. This one up here, for the front brakes, it is just both of them's black. So what I'm doing on the other side is I've got to run two wires, a yellow and a brown, which I have, and we're going to run a yellow and a brown from the plug that originally plugs into our harness, and then we'll run that brown and yellow wire up, and we're going to bring it to this. So this one's going to be done a little bit different. We're going to have to put coat or heat shrink all the way up it once we get out of the area right here, or black tape it, one of the two. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. I've got plenty of black tape, so I might black tape it from the plug in the back all the way up and run it up over the frame, so you don't see brown and yellow wires draped everywhere. You'll see black, and it'll kind of blend in. So then when we get out here to the outside, we'll probably heat shrink. Just put several pieces of heat shrink. I may have one long enough to do the whole thing, and just heat shrink the whole thing from where it comes out from under the fender up to the master cylinder or the switch. So I don't know why these are not like that, but I guess this is a better switch than what this one was. I ordered this for a motorcycle because I wanted the Miro mount. I put mirrors on mine. Let me show you that. And they don't look half bad. I like to know what's behind me without me having to turn around and look behind me to see what's behind me. Because there are times that I do go on the road and I always have to turn my neck real hard to see if anybody's behind me, so I know whether to get off the road or... No, I want to know what they're doing just as much as what I'm doing, because what they're doing is more important than what I'm doing, because I'm not doing nothing wrong. So, but anyway, I put those on there, and I wanted the option for his too, in case he wants to put mirrors on his. And if I ever do a whole lot of riding on his, because this is basically where it's going to be stored, so it'd be nice to have the option for mirrors. So the only other downfall that I see on these is they don't have a parking brake. So this one's not going to have a parking brake. I have a parking brake on mine, and I need that parking brake a lot. So I'm going to have to see if we can't figure out a way to mount a parking brake on this to where it will work. So I don't know how that's going to work, but somehow I've got to get a way so that when I pull this, that I can hold it. So we may have to use I don't know if you can even get, can you even get a optional yeah, I don't know how I would do that. This would be pretty interesting to figure out how to get a lock in there. So if that handle was solid and not cut out like that, which was unnecessary for them to do, because it's not interfering with anything, they just didn't want you to have that much metal. But if it was solid, I could drill a hole and just have a pin that would go in it. I don't know. May not have a parking brake on this one. I just know that on mine, if it's in gear, it'll still roll if you're on a downhill climb. So that parking brake helps a lot. So, because you don't want to leave it on while you're in gear and get off of it. So I got to get off of it and go take my mail to the mailbox and stuff like that. So I need that lock. And even if you put it in gear, it'll still roll. So anyway, I'm rambling on, ain't I? I wanted to show you that seat too. You guys didn't see that part where I put the black stripe across it, and that looks good. I like the way that looks. It gives it a high-end look.
Yeah, that's right.
He got high-end stuff. uh, so I went and painted the cover also, and we're going to remove that master cylinder. And here, it's got the same, if I can hold the camera straight, it's got the same kind of connector that connects to those master cylinders. So what I have to do is I have to take this loose, and we're going to have to connect it to this cable, which is going to come from the master cylinder back to that one. In order to do that, to marry those two identical ends like that, I have to marry them together. Let's pretend that this one is the one that's right there, and this one's the one that's on the master cylinder. You would have to find a way to connect those. Let me get rid of this cigarette. It's out anyway. So we'd have to figure out a way to connect these. Well, it's kind of hard to do that. So we're going to have to make a distribution block. Now, I was going to get one online that was a three-way, one in, two going out. Basically, that's for front brakes. You got one going in, one going to each front wheel. I don't know why they didn't do the same thing to the rear. I don't know. It would have just made more sense to have brakes on all four wheels. So anyway, you'd probably have to go get a Grizzly. I think they have two master cylinder or two calipers. So I'm gonna have to make a block and make it so it will mount back here somewhere, and then we got to drill a hole completely through the block and tap each side for 10 millimeter by 125 threads, which is what this bolt is. And then we can just attach one end of this to the block and attach that one to the other hole in the block. There's our extension. Basically a coupler, just a square mountable coupler. So there's a lot to that you have to keep in mind every time you go to change stuff like this. And I wasn't expecting the switch to be like that. I should have, but I didn't. But that's all right. I just soldered my wires to these and made my own pigtail. So now the wire on this switch goes right to the original wiring harness. And it does work. So let's show you it working. I'm going to show you it's going to have a reflection off of my skull. So now I'm going to have to re-bleed. I hate bleeding brakes, especially on a four-wheeler. Well, anything actually. The front ones I might be able to do, but the back one I'm going to have to have help. Because I can't be back there and hold the handle at the same time. Now, if I didn't have no plastic on it, yeah, I could reach it. But I'm not taking that plastic back off just to bleed the brakes. I'll just wait till my buddy comes over and he can hold the handle for me. So, but I can do the fronts. I'll have front brakes. I just won't have rear brakes. I still haven't addressed this issue. That is a lot of play right there, man. I don't like that. And that might have to do with why this thing is kind of swirly. it kind of wants to move on you left to right. And I think these tires have a lot to do with it also. So I think I picked the wrong tires, and I'm not buying another set of tires. I should have bought the same thing I got for mine. Of course, I went up a size on mine. I went to a 26, just so I can get some height. And so I basically, you can see right there from this one's original. It's about 2-inch lift, just putting bigger tires on it. Plus I put higher shocks on it too, and that helped it out too. So, but anyway, we have the wire right here, and this is a brown one and a yellow one, and this is plugging into the harness for the rear brake light. So this is where we're going to start, and we're going to run us a yellow and a brown wire, and then we're going to wrap this all up with black tape, and then we're going to run it up through there, all the way up through there on the frame where all the wire goes in the loom, and then we'll come up through here and then over to the master cylinder. So I'll get that done, and we'll feed that up in there. Alright guys, so now we've got our brown and our yellow wire welded or soldered to it and heat shrunk. So now we've got the switch fixed. So now what we want to do is we want to take and wrap black tape all the way down that. But we're going to take and run it up through there first and get a general idea of where this is going to end. Because I don't want to black tape the whole thing, then I have to unwrap black tape to get back to where I want to be. So I'll run this down through there and get it close, and then we'll route it. So we're going to wrap the whole thing. Because we don't want this to be looking like that. So the way I wrap is first get some pretty decent wrap, and we're going to start right at the end, about a 1/4 inch onto the shrink wrap, and then we're just going to start rolling it down. And you see I got my 2 fingers back here on the back. And you want to make sure that you keep straight. And that's what it'll look like. Looks just like the wiring in the original wiring harness. If you're going to do something, it's best to do it right. And I'm a bad person for preaching that to myself, because I don't always do everything right. It works, but it's not always the right way. And we've got a long way to go, so enjoy the music. Alright, so now I'll put it in and we'll hook it up. So now we have this wire going to the master cylinder, And basically all I done was took the original switch. It is a good switch. This is a pull switch. So this one works a little different. It pulls with the pressure of the spring, and it contacts the rod to these two contacts. So that's why I cut it off long, in case I ever want to use this again for something else. So I even keep wires like that, because you never know when you need a little jumper wire. So anyway, that's all we had left. So I was pretty close to judging it. But so now we've got this hooked up. So now we got to take it and run it through this thing back here. And see if I can catch it. And then I got to figure out how to get hold of the plug so I can plug it in. A little tight. Alright, so now we've got it plugged in. Now let's see if our light works. So I'm going to turn the switch on. Then I'm going to pull the handle. Alright. So now we've got, I'm doing the left one. Now the right one. Now we got brake lights to the two matching master cylinders. So now the next thing I need to do is run this. So this thing's awful stiff, man. I gotta warm it up or something. Get it flexible. Not very flexible. I had it rolled up too damn long. So this is going to be a fight to fight that down through there, because we're running out of room on that thing. You got a round wire, big old heavy wire that runs in a circle, and all your wires are supposed to go down in there, so it keeps it at the pivot point, so you don't wear out your plastic. And I got to do some policing on the cable on that master cylinder. But we got to run this from that master cylinder down to the adapter that I'm going to make. But I can't make the adapter until I find out where this is going to land, so I can make the adapter according to what's around it that I can mount to, so I can mount that up, sort of like the front brakes are on the steering column. So we'll just find us a place to attach it. Now we can take the bracket off of the brake light switch, because now we don't have that brake light switch. But we'll do that in another video, how to run the brake line to the rear, and we're just going to eliminate that foot pedal. So I'll just put a regular peg on it, if I can find one. We'll just take the whole thing off and put it back the way it was. Anyway, hope y'all learned something out of this. How to make something that wasn't meant to work for this, work for it, and look like it was supposed to be there for it. So that's the key. Make it look like it was meant to be there. Whether it's wrong or right, I meant to do that. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Later.